What is up, everybody? My name is Famous and welcome to another episode of Pokemon Go. Today we're going to be taking a step back and trying out a fun list on the channel, and today's episode is going to be 9 Pokemon that I bet you don't have in Pokemon Go. So without further ado, let's get into the list. First things first, a huge shout out to PokemonGoHub.net, which posted an article about this idea, and it was very interesting to me, so I felt like it was worthy of creating a video. If you want to check out the actual article, a link will be in the description, but let's go ahead and get into the list. The first Pokemon that we have on the list is Smeargle. Although its CP is definitely laughable, Smeargle is not in the game for a very interesting reason. What makes Smeargle special in his use of the move Sketch? The use of this move allows Smeargle to permanently learn the most previously used move from the opponent, making his move pool far larger than recently released Mew. So for example, maybe we would get something like a quick move and then a charge move, and you could basically set up to learn whatever move you want. A little bit of a problem with this would be exclusive moves like Frenzy Plant. Would Smeargle be able to learn that as well? Honestly, it really wouldn't matter since its stats are so low anyways. I always find it interesting that these Pokemon don't seem to make it into the game because of something like that, yet they're not even a viable option at the end of the day. So let's go ahead and move on to the second set of Pokemon. I'm going to go ahead and put them all up on the screen at one time because they are related to each other. First things first, we have Nincada, then Ninjask, and then Shedinja. If Nincada and Ninjask were by themselves, they would be released by now. However, Shedinja is what makes this nearly impossible at this point in time. In the main series game where the abilities are in play, Shedinja was the only one to naturally possess the ability Wonder Guard. Due to this ability, if an attacking move was not super effective against Shedinja, it would do 0 damage, allowing its 1 HP to be of some use. To get a Shedinja, you must evolve Nincada to Ninjask, and a Shedinja forms simultaneously. Think of it as a shedding of the skin. This is a fairly interesting Pokemon, but definitely brings up some issues with the 1 HP, but nonetheless would definitely be a lot of fun to play with. So let's go ahead and move on to the third set of Pokemon, and that is going to be Spinda. Spinda is a fairly interesting concept, and I think that this would probably be the Pokemon that gets entered in first out of all the Pokemon on this list. Spinda has no unusual stats, it has no unique ability in the game, nor does it have any exclusive moves, other than something that can just simply be added in at some point in time. Spinda is not currently available in Pokemon Go because there is very little chance of one Spinda looking like another. Spinda has an astronomically high chance, around 1 in 4 billion supposedly. Though realistic estimates are lower, it is a purely cosmetic technical decision that Spinda is not in the game, if they were to honor it in its true form. But due to a recent APK mine, it was revealed that there were 8 different Spinda cosmetic assets lurking in the game data. Personally, I think 8 would still be quite a bit. Of course, you would like to have a unique Spinda of your own, but at the same time, it's not that big of a deal, and I don't feel like that is that big of a barrier to prevent it from being in the game for very much longer. So if I had to put money on one of them, I would say that Spinda would be the next one in the game. So now we only have 4 Pokemon to go, and I'm going to go ahead and show you my favorite Pokemon on this list. And that is KECLEON. So KECLEON is a fairly cool Pokemon. It is a Generation 3 Pokemon. You may not have heard of it. It could be invisible to you, but we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about why KECLEON is currently not in the game. There's basically 2 main reasons that KECLEON is currently not available. The first is that it is invisible. KECLEON was able to be discovered in the main game due to the Hoenn Pokemon champion Steven giving the player a Devon scope, which is similar to the Sylph scope being used to see a Ghastly in the first gen games. With the recent inclusion of Mew though and the AR being used to catch it and showing the Pokemon in an invisible fashion, what would be a simple solution to cover that problem would be to allow yourself to only catch a KECLEON in the AR mode, or in the augmented reality mode, and then that would cover that. That would be a lot of fun. I think a lot of people would enjoy that. They would just basically force it just like they did with Mew. So personally, I don't think that that is that big of an issue. I think that that hurdle has been covered, but there is a second problem that KECLEON has to overcome. The second issue is that KECLEON has a unique ability in color change, allowing it to transform into the type of move which it was being attacked by. So if Vaporeon used a water gun against a KECLEON, KECLEON would turn into a water type. It is unlikely that Niantic will pay tribute to such a weird ability, but one can hope. Although not completely correct, I think I have a solution to this as well. I believe a simpler solution to this would be to mimic the typing of the Pokemon attacking. So not the actual attack, but the Pokemon's typing. This would act much like a Ditto, just without the actual stat changes, but basically a nod to the original intention. So let's go ahead and move on to the last set of Pokemon, and that is Clamperl, Huntail, and Gorobus. I could see these Pokemon being entered into Pokemon Go, so maybe these Pokemon are a little bit tied with Spinda, but as it stands currently, they are not in the game. But let's talk a little bit about why. It is all for the same reason, and that is because they can only be found at the bottom of the ocean. Realistically, Niantic won't make trainers go to the bottom of the Mariana Trench and hope that there is a good spawn point. In addition, these Pokemon being released will likely see the release of 2 new evolution items. Huntail will have the Deep Sea Tooth, and Gorobus will have the Deep Sea Scale. Either way, we'll see either new evolution items introduced or new tasks in order to actually choose. Whether it be what time of day you choose to evolve it, maybe even walking it as a buddy. For example, Milotic is a great example. Beforehand, you would need a prism scale in the games, but once in Pokemon Go, they eliminated that, and I really do think they're trying to get away from evolution items. They're just trying to find more creative ways to do it. As it stands, to get a Milotic in Pokemon Go, you have to have it as your buddy and then walk 20 kilometers to get a chance. I think that they can definitely come up with something creative for Huntail and Gorobus. Maybe it would just be in a water biome or something, and you just got to do something simple. Niantic won't make trainers go to the bottom of the Mariana Trench and hope that there is a good spawn point. In addition, these Pokemon being released will likely see the release of 2 new evolution items. Huntail will have the Deep Sea Tooth, and Gorobus will have the Deep Sea Scale. Either way, we'll see either new evolution items introduced or new tasks in order to actually choose. Whether it be what time of day you choose to evolve it, maybe even walking it as a buddy. For example, Milotic is a great example. Beforehand, you would need a prism scale in the games, but once in Pokemon Go, they eliminated that, and I really do think they're trying to get away from evolution items. They're just trying to find more creative ways to do it. As it stands, to get a Milotic in Pokemon Go, you have to have it